This episode of the Paddy Wagon is brought to you by Somatic Therapy NYC. If you're ready to experience the transformative power of somatic therapy, contact Andrea at somatictherapynyc.com or check out Somatic Therapy NY on Instagram to learn more and schedule your first session. Discover how good it feels to truly be in harmony with yourself. Hey everybody, pull up a seat. I have just topped off my glass. Why don't you grab your favorite beverage and join me? This is the Paddy Wagon. Welcome back to another installment of the now world-famous Paddy Wagon. Today we are joined by Emily Hirsch. Thank you so much for joining us.
So welcome.
Yeah,
Thanks for having
me. Awesome to have you here. Emily, let's see, you were born in Ohio and you live in Brooklyn now?
Yeah.
All right, cool. Big move from where were you at in Ohio?
I was in Mansfield, which is between Columbus and Cleveland.
Okay, so like sort of
pretty central.
Pretty central. Yeah, I was going to say pretty central because Columbus is like smack dab in the middle, right?
Yeah.
Well, I'm from Pittsburgh. We don't care for Cleveland and I don't mind Columbus, so you're right in the middle, so that's cool.
Yeah.
All right. You got a lot of cool things that I hope we talk about today.
I'm very busy.
Let's see, Aerialist and birth doula, and then I just actually recently discovered what a doula even was from our newest addition to the family. So we'll talk about a few of those things, and I think more importantly, I think one of the things that caught my attention about you was it was a subject that I thought it would be good dialogue and somebody hopefully fun and open about talking with the thing, but religious trauma has always been something that is fascinating to me. I don't know if fascinating is the right word. I'm sure you would maybe describe that different, but yeah, I mean, welcome to the show. And like I said, thanks for coming by and talking with us. And is there anything I missed?
Let's see. We got it. We got the religious trauma of it all. We got the two weird jobs. Also lesbian. So like that's connected to the religious trauma.
Wait, say that one more time.
Also lesbian, late blooming lesbian.
Oh, late blooming lesbian. Yeah, we were going to get into that.
Yeah, part of the whole deal for sure. And I don't even think I mentioned this to you. I think I didn't even think about it, but I'm also on a couple recreational pool leagues. My 8-ball team went to the World Championships in Vegas 2 summers ago.
Oh, shit. You're a ringer. You would take every dollar I had. How good are you? How good is a good pool player?
So this is the thing that's so interesting. So the league, I mean, one of the 2 leagues is APA, and their whole thing is that this is an amateur league. Anybody can join, anybody can play, anybody can win. So there's a whole skill like ranking system like attached to it, so that like I like as a level 2 can play a level 5 and still have a chance of beating them, right? Like
it's
essentially
like a handicap system.
Yeah,
kind of thing?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So and then the way they do it, because obviously it's one thing to be like, oh, we have this skill leveling, it's great, blah blah blah. But like you're gonna still have people who just want to get their team of like 7, 8, and 9s and like, you know, kick everybody's ass.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to field like the score levels of the people you're fielding, your team of 5 in a week in your given match, can't add up to more than 25. I think it's 25. So it's like you could field 5 5s, or it might be 24. It might be just under that. Because it's like you're forced to field like a mixed bag. Like you can have a 5 or 6 or 7, but you have to balance it out with like a 2 or 3 or a 4. Like you have to have this like mixed group. It's like harder to explain in theory than it is to do in practice, but it makes it so essentially the long and the short of it is I'm not actually that good.
So that's what's fun about leagues like bowling. I love bowling. Bowling is great because you bowl your average, right? So if I'm 100 and you're 150 and you bowl a 149 and I bowl a 101, well, I just won because I bowled above my average.
Exactly,
So like
exactly. And it's great. It gives everybody a chance to like feel competitive and really.
Well, that's one of those sports where, and I golf as well. So there's a handicap system. There's certain sports that would be ruined for people if there was no handicap system. I couldn't beat you in pool. There's no chance I could beat you in pool. But now we can have a competitive, fun match, which now leads to my next question. My experience with pool And after you answer this one, I'd like to know if there's a difference between pool and billiards, because I don't know. But my experience is walking into a bar and putting a couple coins or $1 or whatever's on the table and say, we got next. And then we play. And it's usually me leaving the table after that game because I'm so bad.
One game.
But how the hell do you score points enough to actually develop a ranking system? Like, how do you, you said you're a level 2.
Yeah.
So what does that mean?
So it's 2 out of, I think it does go up to 10, but like most, like you don't really ever run into 10s. Like, I don't think I know anyone who's over a 7.
Okay.
But it's so you play your 5 matches, like your team plays 5 matches a week. And then because you're in the league, you pay your dues every year, whatever, they track all your stats. And so they're constantly aware of not only how often do you win or you lose. If it's 9-ball, it's scored by points instead of by racks. So like exactly how many points did you get? But they also track innings. So they know like how many turns did it take you and your opponent to put down a whole rack and like start a new rack over, right? And like that gives them data about how good you are, because like if
that makes sense.
If like I'm like getting 3 and 4 balls in a turn, then we could get through a rack in like 3-4 innings, you know.
Okay.
But if it's me, it's more like 13 to 20 innings.
And an inning it's done when like you're done. You miss a
an
ball,
inning
it doesn't
is
go
I
in.
went, my opponent went. Now
Okay,
we're
gotcha.
starting over. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so 8-ball, I'm thinking you do the break.
Yeah, you do the break.
And then you go high ball, low ball. Like you choose what you want, right?
Yeah. Well, so in APA, if I break and I get something in, I'm committed to playing that. BCA.
What if you get more than one?
Then if you get both, then you try to follow.
Okay, because I never had that problem.
Yeah. It happens sometimes, not to me, but I do get one in sometimes. So you're automatically like obligated to go for that one, but if you miss it, then like it can still be open table. It gets, I don't know, the rules get so complicated.
Okay, well, cool. No, that's cool. Yeah, pool was a great. Is it a sport? That's a good one. Is it a sport?
We talk about it like a sport. It feels like a sport, you know? Like I totally understand the argument that it's not like physically really, you know, demanding. You're not out there being challenged in like your stamina and your endurance, right? You're walking around a table. It's casual. You're not getting short of breath. Yeah. But I mean, you watch a game and you participate in a game and you're like, no, this is a sport. Like I am fighting for my life. Like I am really like taking all of this technique and practice and trying to put it into play in this one moment, and the adrenaline is up and you're like, you know, there's the psychological component and you know, it's the strategy. Like it feels like a sport.
I was in a dart league, which I thought it was just going to be like a bar dart league, which it was, but it was really competitive.
Yeah, people can get really competitive.
And I also didn't know how bad I was at that.
I know how bad I am at dart.
How not good I was. Oh, that's awesome.
Oh my God, if I hit the board, I'm happy.
Yeah. I wanted to put one in. We just finished our basement. I wanted to put a dartboard in, but like the real one, like with the metal tips and like an actual dart. Mm-hmm. And I was like, you know what? I don't know if I trust bourbon and drywall. Like those two things don't go together. No. So
it's not as bad as axe throwing, but
that looks fun. I don't know if I trust other people.
I went and did it, and I will say it is very controlled. Like, you are in your kind of stall area, and there's very specific rules about, like, you must cross this line, so you are in this space before you are allowed to pick up the axe, and you must face this direction with your axe at all times, and you are not allowed to have a drink past this line, and, like, there is, like, a separation, and there's like a person whose job is to like kind of be a handler who's like
good
there
because people need handlers.
Yeah,
we found that out in the last 30 or 40 years of civilization.
Yeah, exactly. People need a handler. And they very much play it like they're the coach and the referee, and it's very cute and they're very helpful, and they're like, everyone's gonna get a bullseye. This is how you do it, but they're a handler. Like
nice. Yeah, they're just babysitting a bunch of idiots. So, well, not you. You're not an idiot, but
oh no,
you know what I mean. I'm winking. I'm winking.
Oh yeah, all idiots in the collective.
The collective idiots. Oh, so you host a podcast. 3 of my favorite words: wine, weed, and weird.
I cannot believe that title wasn't taken already.
Seriously, WWW.
It's so obvious.
So I mean, listen. I normally have a beverage on this show and I ask people to join me, but I'll be honest with you. I don't know what the hell kind of party we're having here. So you can answer or not answer, but are you joining me with anything that would be intoxicating this evening?
I am mildly stoned. I actually smoked a little bit with my partner earlier, like a couple hours ago. So I also grabbed my vape in case I felt like I needed a re-up. We'll see. It's a delicate balance, you know, just being really a little stoned podcasting is great. You just, you know, I feel like because you do think a little bit slower, you talk a little bit slower, and it's like the ideas come at a pace that you can actually get through them all, but they're really interesting and different. But like too much weed, and then I'm just like, what? What are we talking?
Wait, are you talking to me?
Wait,
what were we?
Yeah, two of us. You just, yeah, exactly. And that doesn't make for super riveting content.
Well, I would be really fearful. So I, you know, I'll get down. It's smoke, edible, you know, whatever, right? And I always think with the edibles, that's the weird one. You hear people talk about that.
Edibles will get you.
They will get you. And what's interesting about it is that they don't really say take this much, and that much may affect somebody different. So what I have figured out is, and this is going to sound like a lightweight, but it's perfect for me. If I can get somewhere in between that 5 to 10 milligram, which they give you on the bag, it's whatever the total content of the bag is.
Right. You have to
100
do the
milligrams.
Math
so you're doing math, right?
Yeah.
Which is sometimes tough. But yeah, if I can get between 5 and 10, it hits me. I'm good. I'm happy. And I'm kind of where I think you said you want to be.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. That's really the dose I like. Like if I know I'm just going to be hanging out, taking it easy, eating snacks, I'm not going anywhere, I'll go for 10. But if it's like, oh, we're going to go to this party and I'm going to have to like kind of be making decisions and being social and managing myself, but like also I want to be a little, you know, then 5. 5 is also the magic number for being able to wear heels like way longer than I can. It takes the edge off just a little bit.
You give me 25, I'll start wearing fucking heels.
There you go. Take the whole bag and you'll be out there.
Do you ever get paranoid?
I do. And it's always like the dumbest, silliest stuff where it's like, what are you even talking about? Like brain. Yeah. I swear to God, this one time, and it was still like, I was a late bloomer with weed too. So I hadn't been using it that long. And it was, you know, just a classic, like, party with a bunch of friends. We're staying around in a little circle, chit-chatting. And I just had this thought that, like, I could not be 100% certain that I hadn't peed my pants. And everyone else knew, but I didn't know. And it was like, this doesn't make sense. Like, this doesn't even make sense. But I couldn't quite, like, shake the idea. And then I'm like, all right, I just have to go to the bathroom. Because, like, I just have to, like, know for myself that this isn't true.
Yep. We're just going to go roll it out.
Investigate. I don't know.
Yeah. I had one experience. This is one of these ones you're like, did somebody give me something that was laced? This was way back. So I was maybe like 16 or 17. And I remember being really high, and we drive around and I'm in the back seat and there's this girl next to me. And I looked at her and I said, I feel like my leg is a TV remote. Like there should be buttons on my leg. And she goes, I think I died 5 minutes ago. And she started crying, and I realized she wasn't just saying that. I had to convince her she was still alive.
Oh no, that's
And I was
rough.
like, okay, this is not good. And then
that's
I'm like,
fun.
I don't think this was weed.
Oh no!
They told me it was, but
there might be something else.
There
that is
could
the
have
thing.
potential, because I don't. That's not my thing. I don't like anything other than that. And
you keep it simple.
Maybe had a mushroom or two, but you know.
Oh yeah, I like mushrooms. I'm definitely a mushroom fan. I'm like a few times a year. My very good friend and I have a family membership to the zoo because of how much we enjoy going to the zoo on shrooms. Like it's just like an activity.
Wow! You know where the coolest place I ever went?
Where?
Fucking McDonald's.
Oh hell yeah! Get those
I discovered this is apparently only something that happens on mushrooms. I had no idea that McDonald's had potato soup. Yeah, found that out on mushrooms. I said, I just stared at the drive-through window and I said,
like, is that
potato
real?
Soup. And they did. They had potato soup. I saw it like in the corner. I don't know if they still have it. It was a long time ago.
Who could know?
Yeah, but that night, and somebody else was asking me if their heart was stopped. On weed. They're like, is my heart still beating? I think I'm dead.
Probably.
I'm like, what is it with people that think they're dead around me?
Right.
So-
I've had a couple people think they were dead. And it's like, that's a wild trip. Like, I don't know what, because like, what can you say to convince them? Like, you can't convince someone that you're not a figment of their imagination.
You
or that they're
cannot.
It's like,
If they're convinced, they're fucking convinced.
yeah, it's like, that's what you would say if you weren't here. It's like, okay, I guess. I don't know.
You want me to think that I'm alive, but I know that you know. Oh my goodness!
Oh,
Wow,
boy.
maybe I should have got
Drugs.
stoned. Shit.
You can get in trouble with them.
Yeah. Oh, so we're kind of having a good word association game thing that you provided me with. That when you filled in your intake form, I was like, oh, this is gonna be fun. I like her. Let's see. We are talking. I was going to say I'm talking with a potentially stoned, but I know that's now going to be
confirmed.
stoned.
The rumors have been confirmed.
They're confirmed. Stoned, podcasting, aerialist, doula, autistic. Hold on. I got to get through this. I got to try this again. It also sounds bad that I laughed at autistic. That's not how that sounded.
Yeah, I want you to know I'm offended. No.
You have hurt me. All right. Stoned, podcasting, aerialist, doula, autistic lesbian foodie who loves Donald Duck.
Yeah, yep.
Go ahead. I'm
I'll count
waiting.
all that. That's all true.
That's the most random part is the Donald Duck piece.
Oh my God. And it was so silly because it didn't, like, it just started with this one VHS tape that I used to watch as a kid that I was like, we got to watch this for the podcast. It's so wild. And then we just kept finding more Donald Duck things. And it became like Donald Duck, friend of the pod. Like, you know, our guy Donald. Like, Donald's so weird. Like, leave Donald alone. Like, we need a, like, we support Donald shirt. Like, it just became such a bit. And we had so many Donald Duck things. And then it's kind of petered out. And now I feel like we need to go deliberately look for more. It's like we got all the low-hanging fruit on Donald. And there's a lot. There's a Disney short that is like a PSA about learning how to file your income taxes from when income taxes were first introduced. And Donald Duck stars in. And
Really?
There's a cartoon pen that like completely fucking drags him because he's filling out his little tax form and it's like occupation and he's like actor and the pen is like, huh. And it's just like, what just happened?
Okay. I don't even know where to take that. You're sure you weren't high, or when you saw this is a real thing?
This is a real thing. This is
Okay.
a real thing. And it gets weirder from there. Like, it's just like the stuff that is out there just for free for anyone who cares to look on the internet.
Oh, the internet's a fucking beautiful place. I am going to find that and I'm going to tag that in this episode. I'm going to put the link to that because that's amazing.
Just search like Donald Duck income tax. Like, you'll find it.
Oh, that's incredible.
Yeah.
Why on earth is that a thing? I don't know if I'm going to lose brownie points with you here, but I just brought this up the other day. I'm not, it's not that I'm not a Disney person. I just never was. I have always been a fan of Daffy.
Yeah, no, I think that's okay. I think people have like whatever their thing that, you know, it's like the nostalgia thing. It's like, were you a Disney kid? Were you a Cartoon Network kid? Were you a Nickelodeon? You know, were you a Looney Tunes? It's like whatever you were into then is always going to kind of hold a special place.
Yeah, I remember Looney Tunes was my favorite. That and Tom and Jerry was amazing. But Daffy Duck Fantasy Island is one of my all-time favorite.
Daffy Duck is great.
Yeah, Fantasy Island was one of the best movies ever because I think it was kind of like this Back to the Future thing where you were just like, you know, you throw a coin down a well and you get a wish. And it was just, I don't know if it triggers everyone's brain to where you're like, what would I do if I had a wish? Or what would I do if I went back to the future? So that would be a fun, if you ever want to have me on your show,
absolutely.
Ripped up and talk about movies.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
I'm in. Look at me. I'll just invite myself over.
Yeah, no, you should. We're just now starting to kind of think about and plan out season 5. So now's a good time. We can get you in there.
Yeah, I would love that. That'd be awesome. That'd be very cool. All right. So podcasting, you and your host get lit up. You discuss shows, songs, movies, whatever. I mean, do you go into it knowing like, hey, we're going to do this?
Yeah.
Or
We choose the thing in advance. And then theoretically, we both like watch it, take notes, and like have some level of preparation in advance. In practice, some weeks we show up and like Kai's like, I didn't watch it. And I'm like, and then it just becomes me like explaining it to her. And that almost works in its own way. Or sometimes it's like, no, I watched it, but I was kind of stoned and I don't really remember it. And then it's like, that happened? Really?
I didn't take that shit from there at all.
Yeah, we like do We do, we don't do research. We don't, it's like we'll be on the show being like, wait, what does this mean? Google it really quick. And then I have to like edit out like the 2 minutes of like,
Yeah. How do you come up with your movies that you're going to watch or songs or whatever it is?
Just
that you go
like we just have we've had a running list since season 1, and we just keep adding. Like there's just always more stuff, It's like,
Nice.
so we have like a list we pull from if we're like, oh, I don't know, what are we going to do? We need an episode. But most time it's like, oh my God, I just saw this thing and we have to talk about it. Or like, oh, I just remembered this like weird, and we get really broad and like really like, what's the word I want? Like we're not like super hardcore about it has to be a show, it has to be a movie. Like we talked about like campfire songs we sung when we were kids. We did an episode on that. We did an episode on the motivational speakers we had in high school, which was really funny. We did an episode on Roy Cleveland Sullivan, who is the man who was struck by lightning the most times and lived.
How many times can one be struck by lightning and live?
7.
Get the fuck out of
Yeah,
here.
and like statistically speaking, that's insane.
2 is insane.
Yeah.
2 is more than insane.
But
and
like
then
to
after
even
more
have
than
that
insane.
happen, like to even get struck by lightning, like that's
are you
crazy. Yeah.
Does he not pay attention? He's like, well, fuck, I don't know what's happening. I keep running around with the tinfoil fucking hat on.
Yeah. Right. He was a forest ranger, so he was outside a lot. Like he was,
Okay.
so like that's something. But it's still like lots of people are forest rangers. Like that's not.
Wow. Yeah, that's really bizarre.
It's so wild. Listen, just look up the Wikipedia page and read. Whoever wrote the Wikipedia page for this man is a comedic genius. This is my idea. You can't have it. I am going to go to an open mic night and just read this Wikipedia page.
That's all you have to do.
It's so funny. It's ridiculous. You're just like, who wrote this? What is going on? He kept having his hair catch on fire from the lightning. Like, there's just these details that it's like, I shouldn't be laughing, but this is crazy.
But you have to. You have to. He's alive. You can laugh. It's not like you're laughing at
Well,
somebody
he's not
that's dead.
now. He did die, but not of any of the lightning strikes.
Okay, well, that's just weird. How long did he live until?
He lived to relatively old age, but he did die of a self-inflicted gunshot wound. So,
you know what? He gets a fucking pass.
yeah,
Like that's a lot of.
Yeah, I think at a certain
weird-
point you're like, I don't want to wait around for this to happen again.
Yeah, I don't want any more lightning strikes. 'Cause
Yeah.
that's going to take it. I think 1 would take its toll.
Right.
7.
And he got, understandably, like really fearful, like during his life. He wouldn't, like, he drove around with a can of water in case his hair caught on fire, which sounds great and made up. And he wouldn't, like, go out in crowds. He was afraid that he would bring the lightning to other people. He swore that, like, he would see a storm cloud and drive away and the cloud would follow him. Like,
Yeah, you get a pass for being just
you're gonna get crazy.
insane.
Like, how could you
Yeah.
not?
Yeah, 1 would make you paranoid.
Right. Like 2, like certainly 2. Like even 1, it's like, oh my God, this horrible thing happened. I can't believe this happened to me. You'd probably have like trauma. But like 2, like forget it.
Yeah. There's a story about I can't think of his name. He was a Michigan basketball player, and he survived 2 plane crashes. And in both plane crashes, so the first plane crash killed the majority of his family, and his dad, I think, was the pilot, if I have this right. And then he lived, got remarried, and then the second plane crash wiped everyone else out, and he lived through both of these.
Oh
and
my God.
it is an awful. It's one of those things you watch and you're crying, and you're like,
Yeah.
I
The
can't.
survivor's guilt. How would you
Yeah.
even like to have to grieve all these people and then also like why me? Like why am I still here?
Yeah. That's a real deal. The survivor stuff. So, so you review everything. I had a guy on the show. Awesome, dude. What was his 15? It was funny because we laughed about it. It was like 15K plus movie reviews. And what they did,
Wow.
they found a database of God knows how many movies, and then they go do a random number generator.
Oh.
And so then they watch whatever
That's
movie.
a neat idea.
And I was like, that's a really cool idea. And it's a cool podcast, guys. 2 guys from Ireland, and they're funny, and it's
Yeah.
really cool. So
That's a neat idea.
yeah. But I couldn't do that because I'd go, I'm going to skip this one. I don't want
Yeah,
to
it's
watch
like,
this. And I asked him about that too.
that they never do that.
I did ask him that. I can't remember what his answer was, but I think it was, They think
but
we
rarely.
maybe
Like
wanna move.
they care a lot about these parameters that they have set for themselves.
They're good with it. They're good with that. But I think they definitely get to the point where it's like,
Yeah, you're gonna hit something eventually that you're like, we can't do this one.
yeah. And there's ones that hurt to watch. That's with any movie. So
Yeah.
all right. So you do that. Have you watched anything recently? That's fun.
Oh man.
Or hate?
So the latest one we watched was a 1980 short film by Disney. It was an anti-smoking PSA.
Those are always good.
Yep. 11 minutes. And it's about this man, Edgar, or teenager Edgar, who works for the summer at a dude ranch, so then we had to look up what a dude ranch like actually was. And then we had to look up like, well, why do they call it that? Like, was this? And turns out that's where the word dude comes from. And it turns out that further that, like, because what a dude was at the time was like, oh my God, these like city people want to come out here and ride horses and pretend they're country. These freaking dudes. Like, that was like what that meant.
Really?
And the term comes from Yankee Doodle Dandy. Like the etymology of dude, like, oh, hey, dude, like is fucking Yankee
From
Doodle Dandy.
Yankee, so basically city folk.
Yeah, exactly. This
That's
is
like-
what happens. We're just watching this stupid movie and suddenly we're like, what? Really? Like we're learning these things that we never would have gone down that rabbit hole, you know?
That's interesting. That's like that, I think in England, that Cockney rhyming scheme. Do you know what that is?
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
fucking bizarre.
Mm-hmm.
And, I love that. I never knew that. That is very, very cool. I learned something here
Never
today.
would have guessed.
No, dude, I don't know. When I was a kid, somebody told me a dude was a hair on an elephant's butt.
I feel like
And-
I've heard things like that.
And until the
Like a
tender
dork
age
is a
of
whale
probably
penis.
40, I always thought it was true.
Yeah.
What was the last one you said?
The one that I heard was like that a dork is like the word for a whale's penis or something like that. Like I feel like these things just get circulated among the
So
children.
I did also. I didn't know whale. That was really funny. Whale. I knew it definitely was like dork was penis, but I didn't know it was a certain species. And
That
a
is
whale
what I
penis
heard,
is something
but,
I
you
always I lay awake at night wondering about whale penis and just the biology behind that, because that's a weird one. Like when you know that certain animals have certain
Yeah.
appendages and you're like, wait, what? I guess I never gave that a thought.
I used to wonder if whales' sperm was relative to their size the same as human sperm is to human size. And then I realized, well, duh, of course it's not, because they're sperm cells and cells can only be so big. So obviously that is not true. But I
the
had a moment
amount
of like,
would probably
are
be
there
a
like
whale's worth.
giant sperms swimming around in the ocean?
Like a fucking 3-foot tadpole.
Right. And they would just like be bonking into you.
Oh my God. That's awesome. I love the way you think. That's great.
I'm glad somebody does.
Yes. We all do. All right. So you're a doula as well, which was cool because, like I said, I just learned what that is. And I will be honest, I always thought it was some weird, super hippie shit, which
Kind
it
of weird
kind
hippie
of is.
shit. Yep.
Which
Mhm.
it kind of is. And shout out to my wife, because I realized for her that the doula provided things that I could not.
Mhm.
And I was very thankful that person was there, because just sometimes you need somebody else.
Yeah, you get
And-
there and you're like, oh shit, there's stuff I didn't know.
Stuff
Like,
I didn't know, and sometimes there's a hand to hold that isn't mine, and it's all okay. And it worked out.
just an extra set of hands is
Can
very,
you
very helpful.
tell people what a doula is if they don't
Yeah.
know.
So the shorthand I like to use is that a doula is a non-medical labor support person. So I do not provide medical care. I can't tell you how you or your baby are doing, but emotional support, advocacy, helping you communicate with the rest of your team, physical support in terms of helping you with comfort measures, making sure that you understand what's going on in your labor, making sure you're understanding what your medical care team is proposing in terms of interventions or pain relief, and what that will look like for you, and what the sound effects are, and what your options are. And, you know, making sure that you, like, the way that I will sometimes describe it is that, especially in terms of relating to your medical care team, my goal is to keep the birthing person centered in that conversation. It's not about the hospital's liability policy. It's not about what the doctor's used to doing. It's not about even what the birthing person wrote on their birth plan 3 months ago. It's like, what does this person in this room want right now? Like, what's working for them? What would be helpful for them? Like, how did they want to handle this? What did they want this to look like? They're in charge.
Yeah, and my wife was worried about kind of being out of it, right? Because you don't know what you're going to go through.
Yeah,
And
you're
so
going
it was
through
like,
a tremendous physical experience.
yeah, and I want this, and I need you to make sure that I have this, and don't let them do anything that I don't want here. I mean, she had like a damn document printed out, her birth plan, and like all these things. I just, like I said, I was just always, I always call her my little hippie. She's like my little hippie.
You're like, okay, if you want to birth in a tub with dolphins, that's fine. We'll all sing
That would be
Kumbaya.
cool. But I realized how important it was to her. And, I think the doula that was with us she was exactly who we needed at that time. More specifically, she was there for her. And she checked in on me too, which I thought was cool. But
that's part of the job too, for sure.
You are definitely the real deal. And, it's a very important part. So if you feel like something is ever missing, look into getting a doula, because it's an awesome thing. So
I definitely
good for you with what you do.
I definitely really encourage people to look, like if I know someone who's pregnant, I'm like, listen, like I am not telling you to hire me. This isn't about that. Go interview with some doulas, just talk to them, just think about it. Like it could really make a positive difference in your experience. Like it's because you don't know what you don't know, like you just can't know what that experience is really going to be like. And just having someone in that room who only answers to you, who has attended, 50 or 100 or more births and really knows like what this looks like and what the policies are at this hospital and what might be helpful right in this moment. Like you can't it's hugely beneficial.
It's a lot. I mean, it's a life-changing thing you're going through right there. And just having somebody who, I mean, as simple as like, hey, take a deep breath. Just breathe for a minute.
Yeah.
Because, I'm the dad. I'm forgetting all this stuff too. And I'm like, I don't know what's going on.
It's all flying right out.
Yeah. Yeah. You remember everything, and it's a very, for those that don't have kids, it's a weird thing that you go through. And just a clear-headed somebody in the room is very, very beneficial.
Yeah.
So
being the person in the room who's not panicking, who's like, oh yeah, this is normal.
Yes,
she's throwing up. That's great. Yeah.
Yeah,
that happens.
This is normal. You're going to get sick after this medicine. Like everything's good. So
it's fine.
All right.
And it's so funny because I really feel like it's like the same sort of open and inquiring, and also sort of like looking for what's funny or what's different or what's interesting or what's intriguing. Like that same mindset that I have like in the podcast, I feel like is something that I take into the doula room. Like my whole little tagline is that birth should be fun. It's like you're here to do this thing, and it's not always going to feel like petting puppies, and it's not going to be easy, but it's also going to be like beautiful and romantic and magical and sexy and also boring and also silly and also weird. Like it's all this stuff. It's this huge,
It really is a lot of those things. And I'll tell you what, if you can add this to your repertoire, if you already don't, I think it's very important to let people know, and maybe you do, that when a baby's born, they're not exactly the color of a human being.
Oh, yep. Oh, yeah. No, we talk about all the things that might freak you out if they happen, or that will happen, and that might freak you out if you don't know.
Yeah. Picture Bob Ross blending gray and purple on his little palette.
And
it's somewhere
and also covered in like a white cheesy substance, blood. They're streaked with blood. There's a lot of blood. People don't realize that there will be a quantity of blood.
Yes. There's a lot going on. There's definitely a lot going on.
Yeah.
So.
It's really funny. I don't watch horror movies. I'm not like, I can't do the suspense and like the adrenaline and the anxiety of it. But like the gore and like the body horror stuff like never bothered me at all. And like I'll like be talking about like birth casually, and people are like, "Oh my God, stop! We can't. We're eating." And I'm like, "What do you mean? Like I don't like." I'm just talking about placentas.
Yeah, it's just placenta. Don't worry about it. It's totally natural.
You don't have to eat a placenta if you don't want to.
You can grind them up. I heard you can grind them up into pills. And
oh yeah, you can grind them up.
Of stuff.
I always tell my clients, like, here's the thing. Like, if you want to consume your placenta, you can. I will tell you honestly, there's not a lot of research showing benefits, but you can still do it. It's yours. It doesn't matter what, like, you can still do it. But for me, it's about like this, you grew this whole organ that nourished your baby for all this time and connected you and your baby. Like, it might just be fine for you for that to be medical waste. You might not care. It's a little bit of a hippie thing, right? To like care about that. But maybe you feel a connection to this and you want to plant it in a plant or under a tree. Maybe you want to go to the beach with your baby when they're a month old and sprinkle it in the ocean, like, and kind of close that ceremony. Like, humans are creatures of ritual. We make meaning, like it can be really powerful to do these things.
It's a really interesting way to look at that and kind of verbalize that because, I say this, if anyone has a baby that doesn't have one now, or somebody's pregnant, the person not having the baby is a very good time to learn to shut up, learn when to be there for what the person needs. And honestly, don't offer your opinion a whole bunch, I think is maybe I could word that differently, but if you get what I'm saying, where it is like, what is going through a person's head when they have a baby and afterwards is sometimes not the person you think you know. There's a whole bunch of things going on that, quite frankly, don't make sense to the outsider. And you just need to understand those things and try to support,
just step back
as
and
best you can
be on this journey. And there are totally people out there, and I've attended births for clients like this who are they're very pragmatic. They are very rationally and scientifically minded. And for them, this is just a means to an end, and they want everyone to be healthy. And, they're not really super concerned about, if they get an epidural or not, or if there's intervention, they're very just kind of whatever about that whole thing. And they have their experience and they're fine. And like, there's not, but for a lot of people, it really becomes this opportunity to connect with something greater than yourself. Like, you are bringing forth life. Like, there is to put it in, the hippie terms, I tell people who are receptive to it or who will find it like a worthwhile way to conceptualize why they're having all these intense feelings about it is like, you are going to go to the underworld and you are going to bring your baby back. Like, you're going to go somewhere else mentally and emotionally and spiritually, if that's an aspect of it that is meaningful to you. And you're going to bring your baby back into this world. And it's going to be hard. Like, you are going to work hard to bring your baby earthside, that's a hero's journey. Like, that's an opportunity for huge psychosocial growth.
Yeah. I get, sometimes I can be pretty dark, and I don't mean to be dark in like a dark way, but like I use examples of things that can be dark. And so one of the things I've always said, and this is even before having kids, and I understood that there was like, potential like postpartum issues and things like that. But I like bring up the example of like, listen, like a lot of women, it's like they dream of nothing more than having a baby or having a bunch of babies. Okay. And that's great. If that's for you, that's a good thing. That's a good thing for a lot of people. These same women will drive a car into a lake with 5 of their kids in the back, and they will put 5 kids in a bathtub. And maybe there's something going on that we should just try, not necessarily try to understand, but just know that there's some wild ass shit that can go through people's heads. And you just truly never understand what somebody's going through.
Yeah.
And so, it's like kind of just like ride the wave, just try to be there for people. But, and I didn't do it, but like I could picture like a guy, it's always a guy, right? Going, just relax, you're fine. Just like getting fucking shot daggers through your eyes and like, do you have a knife that I can stab you with? Because don't tell me to relax right now.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Oh man. Well, like I said,
I mean, postpartum psychosis is a horribly tragic thing,
it's
especially when it's untreated and these horrible things happen.
Well, people, well, how could you do that? What kind of monster? Well, yeah, how can you do that?
A very sick person. Like, think about the level of illness you'd have to have. Like, you're not in touch with reality.
Looking for your next movie, documentary, or TV show to binge? Tired of seeing the same 20 movies recommended over and over? Well, look no further than Momitu. Momitu helps you discover often underserved content. Some of the best films you've never heard of are out there waiting to be enjoyed. Don't let the algorithms and big budgets tell you what's up next. Momitu has over 10,000 hand-curated titles, all free, all the time. Momitu, more for me and you. So, how old are you? I normally don't ask this question, but I'm good at it because it kind of leads into my next question.
I am 38.
38. Okay. And the reason I ask is because you refer to yourself as a late blooming lesbian.
Mm-hmm.
I think you said you came out 33, right?
33,
So that,
yeah, my Jesus year.
if my math is right, that's you've been out for 5 years now.
That's
okay?
right. Yeah.
See,
Almost
look at that.
exactly.
Look at the
April
math guy over here.
26th. April 26th is
Shit, you even know the date.
April 26th, 2020 is the day that I was like, okay. All right, I'm gonna, and I was like, I'm gonna try this on for size. I think this might be, listen, I don't think I got COVID once, but not till after the fact. But I do think the lockdown and the way that your world becomes so small and you were really forced to look at the life you're living.
Yeah, no shit, right?
I think it definitely was like an accelerator,
That's interesting. Yeah, it messed up a lot of things for people. It made people realize a lot of good things. It was just so crazy. Like what went on. I think my son's a germaphobe. My oldest over COVID. Like just, and can you blame him? Like stuff like all the little kids were hearing. It's
if what was normalized for him is that there is this airborne disease that kills people, know, like it's really like, yeah, and it's hard because it's like you kind of think about germaphobe. It's like, oh, someone who's like kind of like a little bit too intense about it, or who is like a little, it's like, come on, man, just relax. It's not a big deal. But it's like, yeah, well, you're not wrong. Unfortunately, there really was an airborne disease.
Yeah, there was some.
There really
stuff
was
going
a pandemic that happened.
Yep. So okay, so you came out at 33. Do you remember, like, how far back do you remember kind of feeling different, or like was there something that happened where it was just like, I don't know, like
I can tell you that I have felt different in some way since I was 6, like since I was in school and I was around a lot of other kids. It was like, I am not, like, you all seem like you got the manual and I did not get the manual, and I am having to learn in real time how we do this thing, and like how, like, what is acceptable to say to people and what is not, and like how do you hold a conversation, and like what, like, and it was just like you just get it wrong and you get it wrong and you get it wrong, and like that's not the gayness, that's the autism. But it's like that's it, kind of like, I
that think that's feeling, the human though. That's the human.
That too. I think that is true to some extent.
Autistic,
everyone's like a little weird. Everyone's got stuff going on, and just to even put a disclaimer on it, like I am not formally diagnosed with autism. Like I am someone who, at this point in my life, is like, at least subclinically, my brain operates in this way. Like these traits, these ways of functioning are all like ways that my brain operates. Do I display, sufficient symptoms to an extent that a medical professional would evaluate me and issue a diagnosis? I don't know, because I haven't pursued one. But when I take, the tests that they start you on before they referral, I pass them with flying colors, so to speak.
Yeah.
So, it's something I hold lightly. It's important to me that I don't make it the central part of my identity where it would like become, where like I would be upset if it like turned out I wasn't. You know what I mean? Because like to me, that's not the point. Like, and I think it is true that a lot more people than we realize are neurodivergent in different ways and in different respects and to different extents. And the more that we can own and normalize that, and normalize like moving through the world in a way that makes space for people whose brains are processing differently, like that's only a good thing.
Yeah, I agree. What do you recall? Kind of, I mean, again, like kind of back to that time where, okay, like again, as a kid, like I look back and I remember feeling different. And I think everyone can feel like an outsider at times. Everyone can feel like they're part of a group.
Yeah.
But do you recall like anything in terms of?
So I would say in terms
like gay?
Oh yeah. Like specifically for that, like the first time I had a crush on a girl, I was 14 or 15. And like I had already been kind of doing the thing of like having crushes on boys and dating boys for years, but it was very much this like, oh, this is what we're doing now. Like we all like boys.
I'm supposed to do this.
Totally, me too. That one's cute. I like that one. You know.
But did you really, or did you try to convince yourself?
It's so
you did?
hard. It's so interesting to really try to tease this apart because obviously, like I liked people and like different people can be attractive, but like I wasn't at that point really. I was very much like, at best, I was a proto-sexual being. Like I wasn't really like aware of my sexual self. And so that piece of it, I don't think I was sexually attracted. I don't think I've ever been sexually attracted to boys. But I think because I really like didn't come into that part of myself until my later teens, I don't think I had an opportunity to even understand that that was true. And even then it's like you're learning about your sexuality by interacting with members of the opposite sex. So, you know, you're like, oh, well, I guess this is what sexuality is. And like, this is what my sexuality is. And like, this is what it feels like when you make out with someone. And like, it's fun. This is great. You know, it's like, it's so hard to tease apart because like the libido still exists. And I think the useful way to phrase it is that like, just to a certain extent, friction is friction. Like, like there's a certain degree that like the equipment will work.
It's the God damn it. Oh shit, that made me laugh. Ah, fuck, I might be gay. You never know. Friction's friction, right?
Truly, like there is an extent to which, like, I think, and not to be like, you know,
fuck.
oh, everyone's gay, everyone should all try it, oh, you know, whatever. Because if you feel happy and fulfilled in your relationships, then great. You know what I mean? There's no need to go on a giant, I don't know what, like quest or anything. But I think there probably are a lot of people who are, if not fully gay, bi or pan, who don't know it because they are having fulfilling positive experiences, and our culture just doesn't occur to you. You're not encouraged to be like, oh, and also you might like this, you could try it, you know, like you don't, it doesn't feel like it's on the menu.
Do you think that, and I'm going to use a word here, and I'll be honest with you. So I don't know, like I've said her and she to people that are they, thems, and like it annoys people because it feels like it's like your intent isn't to hurt somebody. You don't want to hurt somebody, especially somebody you love. You don't want to be like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to hurt you. But it's like also you sometimes can feel like you have something thrown back in your face, maybe where it's like, you know, you called me the wrong thing, and I'm like, why didn't I've known you for so long this way, or something like that, right? But do you think, and I didn't even think of this question, and you just the way you said something, do you think people are truly bothered by gays or trans or something like that because they're different or because of for religious reasons? Or do you think it could potentially be, so the word I was going to say, I'm going to say the word, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, is the word flaming acceptable?
I mean,
that's a fucking no right there. I saw your face.
I feel like it's iffy. Like, I feel like there are lots of people who who could use the word flaming and or we will say flaming homosexual and mean it in sort of this like goofy way or kind of a joking way. But I do feel, and I feel like it's cuspy, right? Like, it's not like dyke. I can say dyke. You're not allowed to say dyke, right? Like there's words that like I can have reclaimed because of my experience and having them used against me. So I know, bummer.
That sucks.
Right? So like there's words like that I come down pretty strongly on. And then there's other words that I'm like, well, you know, like fruit. You know what I mean? It's like, that's not really like that.
I've always
like,
loved that word.
I
It's a little
can't
fruity.
get that up in arms about it. But I do think that you have to know that if you have not personally felt the sting of having words like that used against you, and it does, when you hear it from someone and they mean it in a loving way, in a positive way, in a joking way, but you know that someone in their same position has used that word to hurt you, it can be a
yeah, if it's used. So the reason and the context for which I'm going to use it is, so you meet people throughout your life. Like you can go, oh, I didn't know that person was gay.
You don't
and
know.
then there's people you meet and you're like, I saw that fucker from outer space. Okay.
Yeah. Some people signal real hard.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Do you think that bothers people? And then what I mean by that is, do you think people are, they go like, oh, I don't like gays. Do you think in their head, they're imagining every gay person to be
more flamboyant,
like a pride parade, like everybody's a pride parade participant?
I think to some extent that's true. I think people do sort of have an image in their head. Like when people think about a lesbian, they generally picture a butch, right? They picture a more masculine woman, short hair, right, in a flannel and boots, and like, you know, it's like you're not acting like a woman should. It's like the gender nonconformity is part of why it's upsetting. It's like we set up these boundaries, we set up these roles for people, and when they don't fit those roles, well, now you're messing it up, and now you're making me uncomfortable because like maybe I don't want to be doing this either, but we all have to do it. Like you just have to do it, you know? Like
yeah.
I think that's all part of it, and it is this weird thing where people who are gender nonconforming, whether they're like a more feminine gay man or a more masculine gay woman, like it's like they do get more, and because they fall under that umbrella, right? Like gender nonconforming, trans, right? Like non-binary, like all of these people who are kind of like, yeah, you have your nice rules for how we're all supposed to fit into these boxes, and fuck you, you know, like that's
well. How often?
Let
me ask you this. Here's one for you, right? You don't look gay.
Oh, yeah, exactly. And that's the other side of it. That's the other side of it is then I get that where it's like, oh, like you don't look gay, or like, oh, but maybe like if you met the right guy, or, you know, like all these things. And it's just like, I don't
it's
like
a phase. It's a fucking phase.
Like,
you're going
I don't know
through.
what to tell you. Like,
I have a good friend who, but actually, you know what? I don't know if she listens, but if she does, I remember this. And I want you to know that I remember this. Knew her before. I didn't know she was gay. I was a coworker and became a friend and didn't care. I don't give a shit. Actually, I think I should say it's not that I don't care. It's just that you get what I mean.
Yeah. It's not a negative thing.
Like
for
the Ted Lasso thing when they're talking about the one guy. If you watch Ted Lasso, it's like it's not that we don't not care, right? But I've heard nasty shit my whole life. Regardless of what people are talking about, whites, blacks, gays, straights, like I've heard every nasty thing you can say to anyone on this earth to the point where like you're immune to it. And I remember this one sticking out as a guy kind of had a crush on her a little bit, and he said, "What a waste of a woman," and it was fucking appalling. And it was the first thing I heard. To like where it actually kind of weirdly offended me for somebody else. I was like, wow. I said, dude, you're a dick.
Like that's a shitty fucking thing to say.
Mean?
Like she doesn't exist for you.
Like it was just a really off-putting. And like I said, I don't get offended at all. Maybe she was my friend. Maybe it was just how that hit my ear. But it was like, you're a waste.
Well, it was a mask off moment of like, oh, I like this person. When you say that, what you are saying is you believe all women exist for men. That is.
He had a crush on her, and it was like,
yeah. Dude, and if she couldn't fulfill what he wanted from her, she was a waste.
I guess she's off limits would have been acceptable.
Yeah, right. Like, exactly. Like, and it's even okay to be like, man, like I was really into her. This like sucks. I'm bummed. Like, that's fine. Like, you're allowed to have feelings. Like, it's completely normal and acceptable to be disappointed, to be sad, to even like feel kind of an irrational annoyance of like, oh man, like, why couldn't you just like, that's all normal. That's fine. And also you're talking about a whole other complex, real live human being with their own life and their own desires and their own body and their own orientation, and like they don't exist to fulfill your fantasy.
Yep. Oh wow, I love this conversation. It's fun. This is enjoyable. I wish more people did this, because I find people are so weird about asking people questions. Like, I just believe if you want to know something, just ask.
I think that's true. And I think like, and that's why for me, it is really important to like, and I'm just like this. Like, I'm really an open book. I'm just not a super sensitive person or a super private, secretive person. Like, I'm just very comfortable talking about these things. But I think not everybody has to do this. There are people for whom it's too hard. There's trauma, whatever it is. But like some of us have to do this, like some of us have to be willing to talk about our experiences and show up as complicated human beings.
Yeah. I'm a recruiter, and a long time ago, it was, doing like third party recruiting, not corporate or anything like that. And this lady came in and we were talking, and she brought up something. She needed a new job or this, whatever reason, because I've always, again, as a recruiter, hear a million reasons why people need new jobs. But she mentioned her kid being special needs. And I was shocked to find out. So I said, a couple of minutes later, hey, you mentioned your son has special needs. Like, what's wrong? If you don't mind me asking. And I asked a couple questions, and I thought I offended her. And she like kind of was like taken aback a little bit, and she started crying. And I said, oh, fuck. Like,
oh, no,
this is
I've really
not good. And I'm like, but I didn't do anything. I asked a question. And the reason she was crying is apparently I was the first person to ever ask her about her son.
To show that you cared.
And she said, nobody ever asked about my son. Nobody has ever asked me that question. And she told me everything that he had that was wrong and how she felt. And we're sitting in this room, and I'm tearing up, and she's crying. And it was just really cool. And I'm like, why is that so weird for people to ask? Like, what's wrong with that question?
It's so taboo. I mean, that's also just the way that people are phobic about disabilities, like,
yeah,
like, it's like, that's a whole other thing that we don't want to acknowledge or deal with. And it's the thing with disability is that, unlike, either you're gay or you're not, either you're black or you're not, right? Like, these are kind of immutable characteristics.
Right.
Every single one of us is probably going to be disabled before we die.
Yeah.
Pretty much
yeah.
Every single one of it. And it might be short term, it might be long term, it might be our life as an elderly person. Like, but we are probably, this is a nearly universal experience, and yet we pretend like it doesn't happen and we can't talk about it, and it's so horrible and sad, and we don't want to, like, it's like we think we're going to bring it on ourselves if we bring it up or talk about it or treat it like it's normal or make space for it.
I love talking to people, man. I know all types of shit. And it's like, it's always funny. Like, I got black friends, I got gay friends, but it's like when you have conversations with those people, I think, take a stab here, right? And I'll even use you, for example. I'm not gay. I don't know what it's like to be you. And I think that's all people want. You don't need me to solve your problems for you. You don't need me to try to figure it out. I think you just need, and whether it be talking to a black person, you know what? I don't know what it's like to be you. You know what it's like to be you. I don't know what it's like to be you. And I think that's truly all people just want to hear. Like, okay, just thanks. That's all I wanted. Is just you don't get it.
And just be on our side. Like, even when that guy said, what a waste of a person, like, and you said you're a dick, like, that's what allyship looks like. It doesn't have to be fancy or complicated. And it looks like doing your best to use the pronouns people like, and sometimes you're going to mess it up because you're a person and you were used to calling someone a long time, and that's okay. Mm-hmm. And then you go, sorry, I misspoke. I meant this, like, you just try. If you show the effort, like, most, everybody's different. There are people who are really, really sensitive, either because that's their personality or whatever. Most people, if you are trying, then they are going to know that you're trying. And if you mess it up every now and then, that's not going to be a deal breaker. You know what I mean? That's not
I call
really
everyone dude. I call everybody dude. What's
dude,
up, bro?
We literally, I just said it first of all. Yeah. Literally, that became our next topic when we were talking about the etymology of dude. Was like, is dude gender neutral? Like, is it cool to call everybody dude? Because I do call everybody dude, unless someone specifically says they don't want to be referred to that way, obviously. But I very much use it in a gender neutral way. Yeah. I just find it a really useful signifier.
It's just awesome. It's short. It's like dude. Like, and it's like bro. It's bro. Like it's the same word. Say it 35 different ways.
And I'll call my friend Kyla bro, like, like, bro.
Shit. So I like yourself, I was raised Catholic. I didn't go to church every week. Like, I would go with my grandma, but we just didn't, like, I didn't really go. And I remember, like, I hated it. And I kind of hated it for the reason why everyone else hated church. I just want to be home. I want to be doing something else, fucking riding a bike.
It's not riveting
or whatever. But what bothered me, and it was a young kid, it was that I realized early, like, human beings are, like, we're inquisitive by nature. like we're supposed to figure shit out, right? Like cavemen, or I don't know, can I still say cavemen, cave people?
I feel like we can.
Fucking Neanderthals, those folks that lived in caves, they had to figure shit out. They had to like do things and figure it out. And that's the way humans are. It's like in our DNA. So just because, like, never made sense to me. Man came, or a woman came from a man's rib. And I'm like, yeah, I'm fucking 6 and that doesn't make sense.
That doesn't make sense.
That doesn't make any sense. And so, like, I found the Bible to be full of stuff like that never made sense. Now, that is not meant to be disrespectful that people that follow that religiously, no pun intended, it didn't make sense to me. And it's okay that it didn't make sense. And you're not going to make it make sense. But so you go back there, and I'm thinking you're probably, right, you're young. You know some of these things are going on inside of you. Now, I don't ever remember church being this big like anti-gay rally like that I feel like people are made to believe it is now. But was there ever anything in your upbringing in the church that made you feel like an outsider, like
I think
more,
like,
maybe more of an
this
outsider?
is
if that makes sense.
interesting. Like as a kid in my upbringing, I mean, I definitely there definitely wasn't like specifically homophobia like preached in church, because like being gay was just not acknowledged. So it was just like a non-topic. You know, it's amazing how quickly things have changed. But like I grew up in a small town in like, you know, mostly like the 90s and 2000s. I was born in 1987. And it's just like, it just wasn't a thing. And like, even when it was sort of like, and I don't even think until junior high, maybe even high school, it was like, oh, gay men exist. Like, this is the thing. Like, men can be gay. It still somehow didn't click for me that like women, like I'd never heard the word lesbian. Like the first time I heard the word dyke, my dad was telling my brother that his girlfriend looked like a dyke because she had a shaved head. And like, I didn't even know what that word meant, but like I knew it was bad. And I, on some level, I feel like I knew that that applied to me somehow. Like there was something, I don't know, like there was something about it. Like who could know? Like it's so
dyke is so abrasive. It's so abrasive of a word. It always just, it didn't really have a nice sound to it.
No, it's, you know, I
mean,
it wasn't meant
sounds
to.
kind of cool and intriguing. Like, what's a lesbian?
Yeah.
Like, dyke's not. It's
it's
not
meant to sound nice. Like, you know, it was a hateful word. And it's, you know,
like you never said that and somebody's like, oh, thanks.
Yeah. And now I do. Now, you know, like if my partner says like, oh, you look kind of dykey today, I'm like, thanks. You know, like now it's something that we've reclaimed, and it's, you know, it's hot, and it's really empowering for me to be like, I'm a dyke, you know, like. But yeah, it's not. It was never meant to be that way.
So what is the word actually mean then? Like, what is it?
What's the etymology of dyke?
Well, no, not like that. But like, if she says, you know, kind of, did you say dykish or dykey? Dykey today. Would you say that? Like, would you say that to her? Like, is it like, how does that work? Is it interchangeable? Because I worked once with a guy who, like, I thought gay guys like fucking did everything. And they're like, no, dude, like, sit down.
I think this is so wild about gay men that they don't switch that much.
Yeah. And they was like, no, dude, we don't do. Like, I play this role. This person plays this role.
Yeah.
And I learned
there's nothing wrong with
types
that.
of shit. And
there's
by the way,
nothing wrong with that.
No,
you know,
but you
if
know
that's
how
they like to do it, then that's fine. And obviously, like, stone tops and you know, stone butches and pillow princesses exist in the lesbian world, but like for the most part, like even if you're like, oh, generally speaking, I identify as a top or I identify as a bottom, like you still switch. Like typically lesbians just switch.
Do you guys scissor? I found out, like I said, I asked questions, and now this is a question. Is scissoring a real thing?
Is scissoring a real thing? You know, I will tell you how I like to answer that question, and I tend to try to get a feel for what will be either most shocking or most disappointing and answer that. So I'll typically either say, absolutely not, that's totally made up, no one does that, that's so ridiculous, or else I'll say, oh yeah, no, that's how we all do it, that's the only way, yeah. That's it, yeah. And of course, the answer is like it's one sex act, and some people really like it, and some people really don't.
People
it's just
do
like any other thing.
Scissor.
Like it exists. Like it's a thing.
That's really funny because it's one of those things that you've heard about, and you like. It's just the term scissoring is really funny because you just picture it, like the term, and going.
It's like, oh yeah, I know exactly what you mean there. But it's just so funny because it makes sense that that's the thing that comes up, and that's the thing that people picture, because it's like the only thing people can think of is like putting your junk together, you know. It's like, oh yeah, well, you put the junk together, like that's what sex is, it's putting the junk together.
You smush them together and it feels kind of all right.
That's ultimately just like such a cis heteronormative way of conceptualizing of sex, you know.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of cis, by the way.
It's just a word. It's a
word.
No.
And I know I should say that I'm not against it. But it's like, damn, now I gotta fucking add another syllable. I'm so
now there's a word for me.
I try to cut so many things out of my life. Like it's starting, like Simplify. We're down to the syllable level. I'm like, how can I say this sentence in the least syllables possible? And cis, man.
Yeah. Well, and it's true. Like, we have to like tack cis on now to be clear about everything. It's like used to just say heteronormative, and now we have to say cis heteronormative. And if you know, you can also get into talking about like, you know, the normalization of monogamy versus non-monogamy, and the normalization of being allosexual versus asexual, right? Like, I mean, there is like the constant battle of wanting to be clear and inclusive with our language, and also like needing to be able to say things, like needing to be able to state things without 1,001 signifiers. And sometimes it does feel like, when I'm trying to speak for the queer community or about like a queer issue, like it can feel a little bit like I'm doing these mental kind of like an agility course, you know, like a dog agility course. I'm like, got this, that, get this, you know, and like it's worth it. I think it's really important. I think it's worth that effort. But I think totally, like, if that's not something you're used to, if that's not something that you've had to do, it can genuinely feel like a lot. Like, wow, really? I'm supposed to, like, come on, man. Like, you know, I'm not a bad guy. You know that, like, I care about people, and I understand, and I want you to have human rights. Like, you know, I gotta say all this stuff too, you know.
Well, I think that's what gets people is the feeling. Like, again, I think anytime somebody feels forced into something or against their will, it's never a good thing. Like, nobody's ever said, I went against my will. And they were like, yeah, it was awesome. But it's like I think that a lot of people are like, well, now I got to learn all this new shit.
Yeah.
And then you go, there's like 35 different genders. I don't know what the fuck.
Yeah. I can't keep track. There's all neo pronouns. I can't do neo pronouns. Like, my joke is that everyone has the issue that makes them feel like a, you know, raging Republican. Like, everyone has it. Everyone has the thing that's like, oh, not this too. And like, and it's like, for me, for a while, it was furries. I've come around on furries, but like for a while, like that was the thing that I was like, oh, come on, man, I can't. Come on.
Oh, dude,
and I'm like, all right, you got me. The furries are cool.
We have a huge furry convention in Pittsburgh, and apparently the furries love Pittsburgh. So Anthrocon comes here.
That's so interesting.
Massive. And it's always in June or July, and you just see, actually, if I recall, so we have Pride, we have furries, and we have the fucking arts festival, and they all overlap. And Pittsburgh's not big.
A hell of a party.
Yeah, dude. You're seeing a whole bunch of shit going on, and it's fucking weird.
Yeah,
because if you leave the house, you have to be ready for a Pride parade. Yeah. You have to be ready for Anthrocon. You got to be ready for these things. Like, and when you get hit over the head,
see it all.
When you get hit over the head with people playing fucking ring toss with cocks, and then somebody walks past you dressed like a fucking kangaroo.
Yep.
You that's weird.
You're like,
that's a lot.
I'm being exposed to a lot. Yeah. Yeah.
But I remember once I was just standing, I was talking to my sister on the phone, and it was when this was all new, like the furry stuff. And I said, talking. I was like, what the fuck was that? And she goes, what happened? Are you okay? I said, some fucking guy just walked past in a it's a fucking cat helmet. I just always said, I remember saying like the phrase cat helmet. And I said, what a fucking weirdo. I said, what the fuck? It was so hot out. And that's all I thought was, how weird.
Really? You want a helmet on right now?
And then, he heard me and he turned around and I could see, I was like, oh man, shit.
Yeah. Like, oh,
I'm sorry.
Shit.
Like, I didn't mean it like that. But then it was like, oh, there's something going on down here. There's fucking people dressed up like animals.
Yeah.
And that was when I learned. I had to like look it up. And I was like, oh shit, that's a real thing.
All right. This is a whole thing.
This is a whole thing. It's a whole thing. But yeah, I offended that dude greatly. And I was like,
and
it's just, again,
it's a continuous discussion. Like the question of kink at Pride is a whole thing. Because there absolutely are people, and people who are gay even, who are like, you know, like, we don't want queerness to be synonymous with sex. Like, one of the things we're trying to say is that, like, our queerness is part of who we are as a whole person. It's not just like who we're fucking. So like maybe this sends the wrong message. And also we want, you know, kids who are gay to be able to come to Pride. We want families to be able to come to Pride. And so like, you know, having these things like makes it so they can't participate, and that's not good. But the argument, the pushback to that, and of course ultimately this is a question of where to draw the line, because like if it's a event that's open to the public for all, there does have to be a line somewhere, right?
So that dong toss, it was called dong toss, the
right,
thing I mentioned. That's a lot for
intense.
somebody to walk
it's
past.
Right, for like someone
to
walk with their 5-year-old, you know, bye. It's like, okay, this is a lot. But the argument is, you know, we are ashamed for our sexuality, for who we want to have sex with, and particularly someone coming from the perspective of religious trauma, who like came through a religion that, you know, first didn't acknowledge that this kind of thing existed at all, and then as it became mainstream enough that they couldn't hide it anymore, then it became like, this is bad, this is not okay, this is deeply disordered, which is the words the Catholic Church uses to describe same-sex relationships.
The
right?
Catholics. That's fucking hysterical.
It's rough. And like it's like you grow up with that, and like that does sink into you, and you have to do a lot of work to come back from that, and to not feel shame about your sexuality and to be able to embrace this part of you. And so like Pride is like, specifically like the reason why it's called Pride is it's in response to the shame that is foisted on us. It's like, no, we will not be ashamed. We will be proud. And like, we are proud of our sexuality. And like, yeah, like this stuff, this is all okay. This isn't stuff we have to hide or be ashamed of. And so like, it's like also making space for that reclamation is so important. And I really think that there is validity to both sides of this discussion. And I come down on the side of, and like the way that we make it work in New York City basically is that Brooklyn Pride is very family friendly, very cutesy. And then like New York Pride, like Manhattan Pride down Fifth Avenue, like you're going to see things. You're going to see some things. It's going to be a little wild. But also like in New York City, like it's legal to be topless anytime.
Is it really?
Yeah. The naked bicycle ride happens every year. Like,
damn it.
It's New York City. It's a big city. You see things. We're like one of the like defining personality traits of New Yorkers is that we're blasé. It's like, oh, whatever. There's a guy with a cat helmet and his dick out.
Really
like, I don't
are.
care about that.
You fucking really are. Everything goes on there.
Yeah. And you know, that's just part of the thing, is it not being like, you know, rocked by anything, you know? So I think that it kind of works well to have Pride here, because that is the environment that has the expectation of like, and I do think there's something to be said for like, the kids don't understand the sexual context of the man in the pony mask, like dragging a woman in a cart. Like they don't know that's a kink. Like they don't know what they're looking at.
That's
like,
a fair point.
You know, like it's like, oh, the adults are dressed as animals. That's fun. I like to dress as an animal too. Moving right along. They're, you know, like if we're talking about like erect penises and throwing rings at them, right? Like, all right,
and there was a little kid next to it.
This
too,
is getting explicit.
Going, like,
this is getting explicit. How do we feel
me.
about this? Is there a way to have space for these events that is like in a space that's for adults, right? Like, I think that's a reasonable conversation that can be had. I think in practice, these conversations just turn into, you know, shouting matches a lot of the time between like
people aren't talking with one another. It's easier to yell. It's easier to yell. So you, looking back, you came out after you left the church. You're Episcopalian now.
Yeah. I switched over to Episcopalian. They are an affirming church. They are affirming of gay marriage.
And like, oh, okay. So from a marriage standpoint, stuff. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, all that stuff. They and I believe that questions of trans acceptance are not fully settled. It's still a little bit at the discretion of the parish. My individual parish is trans affirming as well. And it's a very like this particular community. It's this teeny tiny church. It's the cutest little wooden church you've ever seen in your life, with this like big red front door.
I love churches. I love old churches.
It's just so like, and it's small enough that it really is a community. Like I know the members of my church. You know, if someone is sick, like people bring food. You know, we just show up for each other. It's really like this lovely space. And you know, people like I came there. And I knew that I was really upset by the homophobia that was being preached in the Catholic church I used to go to in that same neighborhood. But I didn't know why. Like I hadn't yet identified with it. And over like within the first year. You just didn't like it. It didn't
I
just knew this just makes me really uncomfortable. This doesn't make me feel closer to God. This doesn't make me feel like it's helping my relationship to be in this space. And like why am I here then? And it had just become this point of pride of like, well, I'm Catholic. I was baptized Catholic. I've always been Catholic. Like, this is part of my heritage. Like, this means something to me. And it was like, but it's not meant to be an ethnicity. It's meant to be a religion. Like, for me, for my family, like, this is a religion. And if this religion is not feeding me spiritually, then it's not real. It's not doing its job. Like, what am I doing here? So
yeah.
Then I moved over to this other church, and like within a year I came out as bi first. It was like, oh, like, clearly I am attracted to men because I've been married to this one, and he's wonderful. And
which I've got questions about, by the way, so we'll get to that.
Yeah. And I still love him very much. We're still good friends. But it was, so like, that was kind of this first step of being like, oh, like, I am like attracted to women, like, in this way. Like, these feelings are here, and these feelings aren't a fluke, and they're not something that, because for a while it was like, oh, I kind of know this about myself, but it's not relevant. Like, I got married, I have my partner, it doesn't really matter. So like, in the same way that it doesn't matter that there's other men I might find attractive, it's just, it doesn't matter. So I don't need to think about it. And then it just became like, no, like, this is a part of me, and I want to claim this, So like, I got like a bi pride shirt, and I marched in the parade, like, with my church, and it was like very cute. And it was like, yay, this is so powerful and so affirming. And I had so much joy. It was like so positive. And then it just became this like thing. And like, I would just like, finally, I just had to talk with my husband about it. I was like, here's the thing. I feel like there's a part of me that's just waiting for you to die so that I can be with a woman. And that feels...
that's how you worded that.
That feels awful. Like, that feels really bad.
You said you verbalized that?
Yeah. Yeah. Like, not like I wanted him to die sooner, but like, there was this part of me that was like looking forward to this future, when I would be able to explore this other part of myself. And I was like, and I don't like having that feeling.
No, that's a shit feeling.
Yeah.
And
like
that's not fair to somebody. Because you say, you're like, I love this guy still. We're good friends.
Yeah.
What a shitty feeling that must have
like,
felt
this is terrible. And so like, we talked about like, what do we want to do? How do we want to handle this? And we decided to try having an open relationship and see how that went. And we were able to balance that well for a little bit. That kind of went well. We were able to do some exploring. We were able to kind of come back and like connect and talk about how this was going and what we were learning. And this is actually kind of a funny story. Like, the first moment, the first like glimmer of like, oh no, this is something that's bigger than I thought, and this is something that I can't control. I was just like sitting on the couch. I had put on a nature documentary. I had gotten baked. I had some snacks. I was just having like a nice, cozy little evening. And it was just like, it felt like a paranoid thought. Like, we were talking about paranoia earlier, and it felt exactly like that kind of voice. And it was, what if I'm a lesbian? And I was like, that is such a weird paranoid thought. Like, that's so weird. I'm going to move right along and not think about that. And like, that thought just wouldn't go away. And like, now that I was dating a woman, I was having sex with a woman, it was just like very undeniable that experience was completely different, like sex with my husband. I mean, I don't want to get into a lot of detail, but
right.
Like, I enjoyed it. It was intimate. It was warm. It was loving. He cared about making sure I had a good time. Right. And like, I had been saying this for years, that there just felt like there was something that wasn't there, that I felt like was supposed to be there. And I kept using words like passion or like intensity or like fire. And like, I couldn't, and he was
you
like,
didn't know. That's the not weird. That's the kind of cool part in seeing it. Because I feel like when you say like, when did you know? Like, a lot of people, they knew way earlier.
I really didn't know. It was there. It was inside of me, but I genuinely didn't know.
Like, you were just confused. Like, that's because that's maybe it's like people are talking about like, you're just confused. Like, you genuinely were like, I don't know what this is.
Yeah, like
what this is going on right now.
It feels like there should be something more to this that's not here, but I can't even talk about what that might be. Like, I can't even imagine what that might be. And then I started having sex with a woman. And it was like, oh,
that was it.
Oh no, this is how it's supposed to feel. Like, this is how it feels for people who are, it's like, this is, and even then, it's like you kind of go through the stages of grief, of like denial and then like bargaining. I was like, maybe we could just get a 2-bedroom apartment, and then I'll have my girlfriend in one room and my husband in the, like, we'll figure this out, like, I'm going to figure this out, because like, I loved this person and I loved our life together, and we were so happy, and it had been, and we'd grown up together. We started dating when we were 18 and got married at 22. And it was just like this is my whole life. This is my whole future, you know, like,
Yeah.
so it was so hard to come to terms with like, and it was really him. Like he's a very, very pragmatic person, you know, and he was really like, you are gay. And I'm so glad that you learned this about yourself. This is so important. I want you to be happy. I want you to be fulfilled. And I want my life partner to be someone who wants to have sex with me. And it was like, I can't argue with that. That is all like so reasonable and so fair and very much to his credit. Like I feel like if it was me, like I would have been angry, you know, like I would have been like, well, what the fuck? Like we got married. Like, what do you mean you just figured this out? Like what are you talking about? You know, like it's such, you know, for me, it was so hard and so unexpected to feel like my whole life was crumbling, but like, at least it was something internal that was happening to me. Like he was just like, oh, there's nothing I can do about this. You
gotta let people have the feels. Like, and that's the thing is like, I tell everyone, like, be mad, be happy, be sad, let it all process it all.
Yeah.
Whatever you have to do, just
he
let it
never
go.
brought the anger to me, you know, like he was in therapy. He would go on these hours and hours and hours long bike rides. You know, he would
Do you think he was
things.
Angry in some
like
way?
That must have been,
but not
there.
at you, maybe angry?
That must have been a piece of it. I'm sure that he felt, you know, anger or frustration. We both like, we cried together. Like we definitely like both like were crying, like feeling the sadness and grieving, like that we thought we were going to have this. And like, now we're not going to have this, you know?
Yeah, that's
and, like,
understandable.
Yeah. But like figuring out like, and now it's like my partner, Teddy, lives right down the street from him. And like, we'll have dinner and have him over. And like, we'll just all like hang out. And it's really like, it took a long time to get there. We kind of had to drift apart and have a lot of space, I think, before we were able to sort of recontextualize our relationship. But we'll still text each other and be like, oh my God, like, remember when we went on that like trip, or like, you know, this like silly thing you said, like I just had this picture pop up in my memories. Like we can still kind of connect and feel like, I mean, it's like I told my parents, I was like, no, like don't take down my wedding pictures. Like don't, like you don't have to put these things away. Like this is something that happened and it was a really happy thing that happened. And we had a wonderful, I genuinely think that we had a better marriage than a lot of straight couples. Like I really think we were just like really wonderful together and best friends. And like, you know, like it's very hard because on the other hand, I do have grief and I do have anger about the fact that I didn't get to have the adolescence that straight people around me got to have. Like I didn't get to encounter my sexuality in this organic way and like explore it and understand myself and then like make choices about like when I think about my religious trauma, like it's all because I like knew I didn't want to be having sex with boys. Like that just didn't sound appealing. And like purity culture and going to this very super fundamentalist Christian youth group was this great way to not do that.
Groups. Yeah.
Right? Like, oh my God, the youth
those
groups.
Are rough.
Crazy.
Those are rough.
Yeah. Yeah. So like
judgmental
this
pricks is
like,
what I've seen, if I'm being honest. Bunch of, we're better than you, but like you're doing the same shit.
Oh, for the most part, which has made it so funny because here I was like the true believer who was like, I'm like, you know, so holy and I'm like such a good person. And that's why I don't want to do more than kiss my boyfriend. Like, that's why, you know, and it was like, oh, it's just because you don't want to. And like, if it just would have been okay for me to not want to, I could have maybe found out the thing that I did want to do, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. But you seem to have a pretty good head. I mean, listen, I think we can all look back at things from our childhood and feel like a little bit of regret or, oh, I wish that would have happened or I wish, but like, you know, you're all right.
Oh,
you're
yeah,
all right,
totally.
dude.
I mean, you have to keep things in perspective. And I think there does have to be space for both of like, sometimes I like will get kind of a wave of this feeling. Like I'll hear a song or like, I'll like just even like hear someone talk about like their kid, like coming out at 13. And I have that like, must be nice, you know, like you have that moment, you know, and it's like making space for me to like have that feeling and just like hugging my little 14-year-old self and being like, it's okay. Like, it's okay. Like, we're here now, you know? And like, both those things can be true. Like, I'm so blessed. I've had a really like awesome life. It continues to be awesome. Like, you know, like in so many ways, like my journey has turned out for the best and I've learned and grown so much, you know, in these ways. And that's really valuable experiences that I've had and relationships that I've had. And also it really sucks that like I didn't get to do this stuff at the same time as everybody else. Like there's this recognized phenomenon of like the second adolescence that queer people go through when they come out later in life, where like you have to learn what it is to like date and
like learn how to walk
flirt.
again type thing.
And yeah, like you really, and like it's crazy. It's like you're horny all the time. It's like all you can think about because you're like, oh my God, this exists all of a sudden, you know.
Yeah.
Like it's a really interesting like process, you know. And it's like it's kind of rough to have to do that as an adult, you know.
You
like
walk past women
yeah.
and just go, holy shit, look at her.
Yeah. Oh my God. And then
So
you
do I.
feel like a bad person, you know. It's like, and you do the look back, you know. It's really bad when you do the look back and you're like, oh no.
It's so funny. I can always tell when my wife finds somebody attractive. She just goes, and she loves listening to this. I am on to you. She goes, It's just like a little.
That's fine.
Well, I'll tell you what, like honestly, and I don't know if anyone's ever said this to you, and I feel like I can speak for everyone else. You didn't miss anything. We were, and I'm telling you this, and I mean this, and this is heartfelt. All right, we're making eye contact now. I'm telling you, you didn't miss anything. We were all still trying to figure out the same shit. We were going through our own shit, trying to figure out what it was like to like a girl or like a boy or fucking, you know, being bullied, or just everyone had their own things going on. And we didn't figure anything out before you did. Look at the amount of 30-year-olds going through this fucking earth like zombies, and they don't know what's going on. And, you know, I still, as a recruiter to this day, I said, what do you want to be when you grow up? And people always respond to that. Nobody ever laughs. Nobody ever thinks it sounds funny. They just answer the question. Like, what? Not one person laughs. But we didn't have it figured out. You know, I've never at one point in my life thought I was gay. Okay? Never once. And I can tell you that I never had shit figured out. And I am still trying to figure it out. So for what it's worth, you didn't miss out on anything. We didn't have, it's not this straight person's shit where we got it figured out. Okay, look at what you're taking, where you're getting this stuff from. Right, we talk about Catholic Church and how they made you feel. Do we really want to get into the Catholic Church here? We don't have to, but we know what we're talking about right now.
Yeah.
Okay, where you can you just go to that other church and we'll pretend that shit didn't happen.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we know what's going on, and you're good. You're good, and I hope that you can process that the way you need to process it, because you were exactly who you were supposed to be when you were that person. You didn't need to be anyone else but you, and you got a good smile on your face. I can always say that I think fucked up people, you can see when they smile, they don't have a good smile. There's something in there. You look at their eyes, and there's something missing, and you don't have anything missing. You're good.
Yeah, it does feel that way now. That like I used to have like dreams about like finding a secret door, finding this whole other like half of my apartment that I didn't know existed, and just being like, wow, like all this space I didn't know was there. And like that's what it's felt like living my life. It's just like, oh my God, there's this whole other room. Like there's this whole other part of me that I get to like explore now and like bring in and make my own and really lean into. And like that's beautiful, you know, like that's a really fun thing. And I think maybe in some ways it is like, it's a different life, certainly, to not have that happen as an adult. Yeah.
Why, I never been able to figure out, and it's just religion in general. I'm not a religious person.
Yeah.
I like spirituality. I just think the world would be a better place. I think there are far more good people on this planet, and I mean far more than there are bad. I truly believe that.
Yeah, I do too.
I don't think we're the monsters the media makes us out to be. I don't think there's left and right. I don't think there's gay and straight. There's so many just little variables with all of us. And I think genuinely people they care about other people. They want to see them happy. However, you think about like church, right? Right. So Christianity, right? We know who the big guy is. We know who we're supposed to worship. But then like you can go from one, Catholic to Episcopalian or Methodist or Lutheran. You can do all these things, but they have such varying views on what's okay. And that doesn't make fucking sense. You're reading the same book. You're translating it differently. How can nobody see somebody's got to be wrong, or we're either all right or we're all wrong? And it's just, I never understood that. Like,
I think for me, part of what makes that easy for me is that I was an English major. And so the idea of taking one document and then reading it through a bunch of different lenses and coming out with entirely different conclusions is like, well, yeah, of course. Yeah. You can do that with anything. Like you can do that with like, like let's eat grandpa, let's eat grandpa. Like you can like you
help jack off the horse.
Yeah, exactly.
That's my favorite
Like
one.
you
That's
can
my
like
favorite
you
one.
can, like it's very easy to have a really simple. So then you look at like, and the Bible, like one of the things I will say for my Catholic high school is that freshman year of high school, the curriculum was the study of the Bible, like as a historical and as a literary text, right? So it's like, this is this genre, this is this genre, this is not meant to be like, these are myths, like these are myths of these ancient Sumerian people. Like that's what these are.
So
And
they
these
would
are-
acknowledge, a Catholic high school would acknowledge this isn't true here.
that these are not meant to be taken literally. Like these have truths for us spiritually about like how God, is the creative force in the world. But this didn't happen in 7 days. Like we have science and we know that evolution happened, and like that's not at odds with being religious. Like for them, and like to me like that.
I actually respect that.
Yeah, it's
Because it's
like,
a little more open-minded.
Exactly. And like obviously the Catholics are not open-minded about everything. But
everything, but some things.
There is this huge variance. There are groups of Christians and churches that take the Bible like literally every word is literally true. And like I definitely am just like, guys, come on. Like can we all like that's just so silly. Like that's just so fucking silly. And
We've
like
all been walking around this earth for long enough to know that's not real.
That's
like I
not
said,
real.
that's not how
It's
it works.
not real. And this has been translated and retranslated so many times. Like even like the Gospels were written a couple hundred years after Jesus's death. Like they weren't written down for a couple hundred years. Like we cannot sit here and be like, oh yes, this is all literally exactly what happened, like in this order. Like it's like we suspect that like a lot of the like it's like we have these 4 different gospels, and then there's other gospels that didn't even make it into the canon, right? So we have a lot of different kind of sources to look at, and you can start to see these patterns of like, oh, these were the things that Jesus taught. Like the Sermon on the Mount that's in Matthew, like most theologians, most scholars, most priests will be like, no, like this isn't like, this was Matthew wanting to consolidate what he felt were the most important messages Jesus had. And so he wrote this story about Jesus going up on a mountain and saying all these things all together at the same time in this order. This probably was not like a specific singular, like this wouldn't make sense as a sermon. It's basically like a bunch of like chapter titles for sermon. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't make sense to think that this was exactly what he said in this order. Like you can see how these are people like crafting these stories and trying to remember like what was important about this man, what made us follow this man around for 3 years listening to him, like what
it's
was
like the most
saying?
fucked up game of telephone ever.
Yeah.
Like if you think about it.
So inevitably there's going to be these and even like, to get right into it, even like the verses that specifically forbid homosexuality, that's a mistranslation. We know exactly when that mistranslation.
Can I guess something?
Yeah.
I don't know this. It's the use of the word man. Man shall not sleep with other man, or man shall not do this.
No, it's the word that they're using, that they're translating as homosexuality is more, it's closer, it would be a more accurate translation to say like sexual impropriety, and like contextually speaking they're generally talking about rape. Like they're talking about like, ironically, men raping men or raping children.
Okay.
It's like, well, yeah, you're right. That is really terrible and shitty, and no one should do it. You're totally right,
yeah.
Catholic Church.
I love that you don't need to write, like you shouldn't have to write that shit down.
Right. Like it's pretty bad that we had to
just
like
letting you know.
We need to be clear about this one. Listen,
cool.
you really can't do that.
I always took it as mankind, right? So you think about mankind, that encompasses all human beings. And so that's kind of what I thought it meant, because I'm sitting there thinking like, I don't really think somebody went in and when they're writing this book and they're like, and you know what? Oh, don't forget to put this in here.
Yeah.
It didn't make sense. It's still, like I said, everything in that book, none of it really made sense to me.
Well, and even like the parts in the Old Testament that are pretty explicit, like in those same chapters, they tell you that you shouldn't wear clothing made of mixed fibers and you shouldn't ever shave your beard. Like these things that like clearly no one's doing.
Shellfish.
No one's doing it.
Like
no
all
one
that
talks
stuff.
about it. It's not considered a sin. It's not considered a big deal. But somehow this one we can't like contextualize. It'd be like, oh wow, like back then, like they didn't understand that this is just a normal variation of being a human. Like it's so frustrating to me that people will use God as an excuse for bigotry, because that's all it is. That's all it is. You do not have to be a bigot to be a Christian. You do not, and you don't have to be a Christian. Like, let me be clear. Like, I am not one to tell other people what they should or shouldn't believe. No one has to be religious. And particularly for queer people, I completely understand if you're like, listen, y'all suck and I want nothing to do with you. Like, I completely understand that response. Right. For me, you know, the community, the ritual, like for me, it's very meaningful. For me, it's very positive. That's great. That's me. That doesn't have to be everybody. But you can be a religious person. If Christianity has meaning for you and that's something that you want in your life and that you want to practice and that you want to share with your kids or whatever, like you can do that without being a bigot. You are choosing
just
to be a
good
bigot.
version of that. You know?
Yeah. Like you're just choosing to be a bigot and you don't have to be. And like, you're not fooling anyone.
I think there's always other issues. Like I said, I never understood God fearing, like this angry God. And I know that's really not a Catholic thing. That's more of it seems to be like a Baptist, Southern Baptist, like where it's like, damn, dude, this guy's out to get me. Like
the evangelical.
He's like, that's loving.
The fire and brimstone.
Yeah, stuff. I never bought that. And it's like, you just go out and like for my children, I want you to be the best version of you that you can ever be.
Yeah.
Help somebody up if they fall.
Yeah.
Love somebody. Tell somebody you love them. Hug people. Be there when a friend needs an ear. Like to me, that's
stick up for people.
And I've had people tell me, and it was basically pretty direct. It's like, you're gonna go to hell that if you don't do these things. So I said, okay. So we've got a person goes into a school, shoots a bunch of little kids. I've never done any of that. And so if that person accepts Jesus and meets all the criteria, and I'm just like, listen, I'm not going to do that because I have so many questions, but I'm just going to go be the best person.
But I'm out here doing my best to just be a good person.
And I always swear to myself and my children and my family, I will always do the right thing. Will I get into heaven? And the answer was, I have to say that you won't. And I said, well, then I don't want to fucking go.
Yeah, then I don't want to go. Yeah. There's a concept in some progressive circles of Christianity. It's pretty fringe at this point of universalism, which is basically that like everyone goes to heaven. There is no one goes to hell. Like hell exists. It's empty. No one's in it because when you die, there's different, like some people are like, oh, when you die, there's like a process of like purification or atonement. And then everyone goes to heaven. Some people are like, it's simply like the grace that Jesus gave us. We all all of our kind of, you know, all of the sin and the chaos and the evil that's in the world is because we are kind of trapped in this human condition, in this earthly condition. And so when we die, that's all gone. So like everyone just goes and everything is fine and everything is good. And like, you know, and even for people who are Christian who don't believe that, sometimes the way people take joy out of people going to hell is just like so creepy to me. And there's this wonderful quote, I think that it was Pope John Paul II, but I'm not sure. And he was like, I like to think that everyone is in heaven. Wouldn't that be wonderful? And like, he's not even saying everyone is, you know what I mean? But like, isn't that what you should want?
Yeah.
Like, why do people take such glee and such like, not even, but just like, you're going to go to, and like, they'll say like, oh no, it pains me to tell you, it makes me so sad that you're going to go to hell. And it's like, it doesn't seem like it does. It doesn't seem like
you're
it really
actually
does.
kind of happy that I may be there one day.
Yeah.
Damn. Well, let me ask you this. You seem very happy, and I've enjoyed this conversation. I really have. And it's been fun. Like I said, I've said it before. It's always fun to talk to people and ask questions and all those good things. I think that it's good for anyone. Like if you want to know something, you just ask a question. There's nothing wrong with asking a question. If you don't know how to ask it,
being open to learning and like being open to other people's experiences is, beautiful.
But you seem like you got it. I know as good as we all can. You seem like you've got it together pretty good. What would you say? I'm going to ask you two ways. I'm going to ask you, what would you say to your young self now that maybe you didn't know back then? And what would you say to somebody else? What would you say to somebody
man.
else that it was just, they just don't have it figured out and they're starting to question, am I okay? Is there
Yeah.
something wrong with me?
Yeah. I have thought about what I would say to myself so many times, because like the fantasies that I could just go back and be like, you're gay, and then like I would know it and it'd be all figured out and everything would be great, and like that's not true. Like there is like, I have to recognize that there was a wisdom in my choice to hide my gayness from myself. Like that was something that was a protective measure that I did, because I knew I was not in an environment where that would be welcomed or celebrated. There would not be space for that. And so like I gave myself the gift of a much simpler childhood and early adulthood, of like my family supporting me and loving me and not having questions and not doubting me and not trying to talk me into things or out of things. Like, like, so it's this weird thing of like, what would I tell myself? And like, would it be some big revelation, or would it just be like, hey, like things might not unfold the way that you think they will, and just know that like you can handle it. Like you will get through that. You will be okay. There will be people in your life who will love you through every step of that, who will be with you through every unexpected change and will see you. And like, it might seem really hard and it might seem like it's more than you can handle, but it's not. You're going to be okay. So just roll with it. Just trust yourself. I think that's really like the important thing. Because it is grappling with the fact that like, do I believe on some level at least that was the journey I was supposed to be on? You know what I mean? And it's like, is it right to interfere with that? Like, who knows where I would have ended up if that's not like the way it all worked out for me. So I think similarly, like talking to someone else, it's like, if you have those thoughts of like, oh my God, I think I'm different in this way. I think I'm actually a boy, even though I'm in a girl's body and everyone tells me I'm a girl. Or, I think I'm gay, or like, I don't think I'm a boy or a girl, or like, I think I am a girl, but I don't want to wear dresses, and I don't want to marry a man, and I don't want to, do these things that are considered like appropriate, like whatever it is. It's like, it will feel so scary when you first have that thought. It will feel so overwhelming, and you don't have to take it all in right away, and you don't have to act on it right away. But as you find the comfort to act on it, like you'll know if it's right. Like let like your joy guide you.
I love it. That's awesome. And I would like to add that, for anyone listening to this, if you're on the opposite side of this conversation and you don't agree with anything we're talking about, like that's fine. Like you don't have to. We can't all agree. But what I will say is that if you have a daughter or a son or a family member or a friend, somebody that you have loved your whole life and you've been there for, don't fucking turn your back on them. This is hard enough for people. Stick with the people you love. Don't turn your back on your fucking daughters. Don't turn your back on your sons. Love these people. They're still the same people. Like, it's just, life is hard enough. It's just, you don't need to be the person that they view as a bully. Like, there's enough bullies out there. Just, even if you tell them, I don't get it. I'm going to try to understand,
honest.
but don't be a shithead. Go to weddings. Don't burn the people you love. It's at the end, we're all going to be judged. And I truly believe that some people have it wrong. And I truly believe that, I think God has a sense of humor, right? And I think that God is going to tell a lot of people one day, if he's out there or she's out there, whatever we want to say,
Yeah.
but if they're out there and, we're walking up those steps and we're at the pearly gates, I think a lot of people are going to go, you know what? I think you had me all wrong. I think you translated something the wrong way.
Mm-hmm.
And what I was trying to say was this. And I think a little more love in your heart would have gone a lot further. And if there is a hell, you might want to sit down for a second, because, that non-Christian, they're going in. This person, that gay that just walked past you, look at that. That guy dressed like a fucking unicorn with the rainbow flag draped over his back is going right past you, but you're the one I'm holding up at the gate. And that's just kind of what I think. I just think just be kind to people. Just be nice to people. It's just, life's so hard, and just don't You're supposed to be the person
Yeah.
that somebody can turn to. Friends,
Well, it
family
comes
members.
down to just trusting other people, like trusting other people to know their own lives. Like you don't have to understand it. It doesn't have to make sense to you. You don't have to be able to relate to it. But you do have to trust that this other person knows themselves better than you know them. And like your ideas of how people are supposed to behave, like that just cannot be more important than how someone else knows themselves to be. Like, especially for parents, like you should be trusting this person. Why aren't you trusting the child you raised? Like you raised this child and you don't trust them to know who they are. Like, what did you do wrong?
Yeah, seriously. And there's so many things we don't know. Like, I don't know the first thing about automobiles. And I'll tell people, like, I don't know. Like, that doesn't make any sense to me. This can apply to these conversations, too. It's just like, I'm going to try my hardest, and I love you. I'm going to try my hardest to say that you want to be called he or you want to be called they, and I'm going to slip. Don't give me shit when I do. I'm trying. Okay, this is new for me, like this is new for you. Let's just give each other a little grace. We'll figure it out together. And at the end of the day, most important thing, I still love you. I love you more than anything, and I'll always be there for you. But let's try to figure out these new things we're now learning together.
Yeah, we're going to navigate this. Yeah. And you care, you care and you're willing to try. That's really all it comes down to.
That's all you got to do. Well, I'll tell you what, let's get this wrapped up. It has been an awesome conversation. I'm so glad you came on.
Me too. This has been great.
It's been fun. So why don't you do this? Why don't you tell our listeners everything? I think we covered it all.
So many things.
So many good things. Keep it short, keep it long, do whatever you want to do.
Let's see. So
high flying acrobatics. Don't forget about that.
Can't forget about that. So you can listen to the podcast Wine Weed Weird, wherever you listen, Spotify, Apple, all the things. We have an Instagram if you care about that, at Instagram/wineweedweird. May or may not come up in search. I don't know. Sometimes it's weird.
I'll share it as well because it was a weird one for me to find.
We do also have a Buy Me a Coffee, buymeacoffee.com/wineweedweird. So if you listen to a few episodes and you're like, that was fun, that was a treat, that made me laugh, like you want to send $5 our way, like fantastic. Love that, Extra bonus thing we're doing right now. So me and my co-host Kai have both signed up for the Wildlife Conservation Society Run for the Wild, and we are accepting sponsorships. So if you send us a donation, if you give us a little tip on buymeacoffee.com and use the alligator emoji, then that money will not go to us. We will not use that to buy ourselves coffees. That money will go to support the work of the Wildlife Conservation Society.
What was it again? An alligator?
Yeah, the alligator emoji.
Okay.
And then if you are interested in learning more about what doulas do, if you think you might want a doula, I especially love, obviously, to work with queer families, people who are building their families in unusual ways. Are you in a poly relationship, in a queer relationship? Are you a single parent by choice? Are you a trans man having a baby? Are you a lesbian couple? Right? Like it's such a wild ride to navigate no matter what. But when you are also coming into this from a unique place, it helps to have support of someone who is also queer and knows how to help you navigate this kind of thing. Flyingdoula.com, easy peasy. Because I'm also an aerialist. I'm going to be performing at the Pride after party. Oh my God. It's going to be June 29th in New York City. I can't think of the name of the venue, but oh well, you might see me. It could happen.
So sorry, I laughed during that. I forgot it was Flying Doula, and it caught me off guard.
Yeah, flyingdoula.com. It's memorable. It's a good one.
Well, I was on Instagram and I saw like the pictures and the things, like, holy shit, like she's really swinging around that damn place.
Yeah. Also professional aerialist. And if you happen to be in New York City, I do teach aerial classes at Vital Brooklyn. So that's. Go learn some circus. You could do it. Why not? Have fun.
Awesome. Well, we will tag all this stuff. Thank you so much for listing all of that. You know what? It's awesome. I ask that question a lot of times, and a lot of people, they just throw out, here's the Instagram, here's our website, here's our podcast or product or whatever. But that's a lot of good stuff. So we'll get all those in the notes. Check it all out. This girl's awesome. It's been so much fun having you on. And it's been great. And we will hope to see you all again soon. Thank you
so much for the opportunity. I love being able to go into all this stuff. It was fun getting into the nitty-gritty with you.
Yeah, I love it. Wouldn't have it any other way. All right. Well, we'll see you later, and thanks again for stopping by.
You're so welcome. See ya.